for your probing and the answers that we received from the testifiers. Senator Alma Francis Heiliger, you are recognized for your 4 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning to my colleagues, or to the people of the territory, to the testifiers. First and foremost, I welcome this piece of legislation because I don't think my mic is on. Can you hear it?
Media, kindly put on Senator Francis Heiliger's mic. Continue, Senator Heiliger.
Okay.
And
there you
one
go.
moment. Madam Clerk, be sure to just start Senator Francis Heiliger's time at the appropriate time, at the beginning.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. Good morning once again to the people of the territory, to the testifiers, to the staff. I welcome this piece of legislation. I am one of those individuals here in the territory, specifically in this institution, that appreciate when we take the time out to applaud and celebrate those that have had a major impact on the lives of the people of the territory. You know, I look at these resolutions as a way of securing information for history. And, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, our children knowing who we are and what has been done, and making sure they're educated about the history of this territory. And it's resolutions such as these honoring people such as Mr. Corbett does that. So I'm very appreciative of these types of things. But I want to ask you, Ms. Solomon, what are some of the things over the years that you would say that was most impactful that you heard in the community about Coach Corbett that stuck out to you the most?
So I think it would definitely be the scholarship opportunities. There were so many students who did not see themselves going on to obtain a higher education or even to play collegiate sports. And he opened that door. He made sure that they had those opportunities. So it's always good when you bump into somebody and you say, yo, uncle, he was tough, but he made sure that XYZ. And there are so many former students and athletes that played for him, and even members of Graffiti Street who talked about the opportunities. And I use that word a lot because he provided opportunities. So I think that's the one thing when you see people and they have a story to share about how he afforded them an opportunity.
Excellent. Mr. Gregory, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. You were one of the people that he believed in. You were one of the individuals that he really assisted in really pushing you as it relates to Division basketball. And do you think that you would be where you are today if it was not also from the type of influence and his belief in you and having those types of opportunities? And if so, what impact do you think it has had on your life?
Absolutely. So I don't think I would have been able to make it without him. As I said in my testimony, he didn't only train me. I think the important thing to note is that all of this happened after hours. He wasn't my high school coach. He just was someone that was like, hey, you want to go to the gym? Okay. I'll open the gym. And for, you know, in the early days, I was kind of like, he just wants to like work out with me and just open the gym at any time. It didn't really make sense to me. And he would say, even on the weekends, hey, 7 a.m. if you're ready to go, I'm going to be there. And I'm thinking this guy's going to wake up at 7 a.m. to just work out with me because he thinks that I can have an opportunity to excel. So that was very impressive. And it just kind of changed my thought about people and local people actually caring, because I hadn't seen a lot of that in my life where someone's willing to go above and beyond with no benefit to themselves. So I don't think I would have been able to make it to Marist or get the views that I got without Myron.
Well, I am happy to hear that. Mr. Peterkin, if from your perspective, if Myron were here today, do you think he would still be coaching?
Oh, absolutely. He would still be, I think, definitely doing anything that he could to continue to give back, you know, to the community, people of the Virgin Islands, and just being involved in sports and, helping kids to, reach their full possible potential in any way possible, whether it be off island, getting them those opportunities to be seen, heard, and, show their skill set in any way, shape, or form. He would definitely be continuing on with that.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. Mr. Petrus, if you had 3 words that would encompass who Corbett was, not only to yourself, to the people of this territory, what would those 3 words be and why?
I think not in 3 words, but, he was in love with the kids of the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
He had a passion for them, and with that, it drove him to go above and beyond, such as what Caleb just explained.
Excellent. Well, I sat here and I listened to all the testimony that was shared and to all the individuals that Mr. Corbett impacted in such a positive way. And I was very happy to listen. And, you saw people being affected just by even listening to what was being said. And if someone could have such an impact on your life in a positive way like we've heard today, that is definitely someone we should be honoring and always remembering as a Virgin Islander that had such a huge impact on making us who we are today. So I definitely will be voting in the affirmative, and I will continue to listen to what is being said here today. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
And thank you so much, Senator Francis Heiliger. At this time, I'd like to recognize Senator Alma Francis Heiliger for your 4 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon to my colleagues, to the people of the territory. Good afternoon to the testifiers and staff. Dr. Commission, my first question to you is, you said that you interacted with him for the first time in 9th grade. Are you of the opinion, or do you believe that that interaction had a huge impression on yourself as to why you happened to go down the same path?
Absolutely. When he came to speak to the school, it was health issues, and they would talk about keeping yourself healthy, the things that you want to avoid and things to do to stay healthy. His mission was to get people to be interested in medicine, not just as doctors, nurses, laboratory people. And so after he finished talking to us, not only would he invite us to come to the hospital or to his office, what he did for me, because he was trying to get more people involved in medicine, providing medical care to the Virgin Islands. So absolutely, it made a big difference to me.
Definitely. My next question could be answered by yourself or Dr. Christian. When it comes to Seaview and how we saw as a community how very much needed those services were, especially when it came to even the adolescent aspect of it, do you see a void, and what do you think we should do as a community potentially to really fill that? Because this was a dream of his, and he worked diligently towards it. And when you see something that is so needed, how do we get back to making sure our people are served?
It absolutely is something that this body needs to do. It's not just the patient who is in Seaview, but its effect on the community. The hospital is burdened by having to keep people in there that could normally be taken care of in the Seaview. And it means that if you're looking for a bed in the hospital and there's none, you stay in the emergency room some days for days. You're in there waiting for a bed. It is something, as I said, it's definitely not a money maker. It wasn't for him. He spent lots of money trying to keep it afloat. But it's something that this island needs desperately for everyone. One day, you might be there.
Oh, okay.
Needed Seaview.
I know.
Needing a place like that is
Listen, I don't even think you know what went through my mind when you said that. because I started to calculate, like, okay, maybe I should have had kids. I'm just teasing. Yes, it is.
I would love to add.
And I would like to say one more thing. To the burden of a family, family, when you don't have a place to take your loved one, it means you must either hire somebody to do it at a great expense or stop working. It is something that everybody needs to have that.
Definitely, definitely. Dr. Christian?
Yes, and thank you for that question. I think you're looking at the essence of why Seaview was started. It was really started out of need, a need that continues, not just for older folks, but let's start with that since the community understands that. But it's also because of the fact that as I went through my conversation, we're born, we get older, we have illnesses, and then we die. It's not just older people, it's rehabilitation as well. It's the financial burden that Sydney just mentioned to the hospital. I was the medical director for what we call quality improvement organizations. And the federal government will not give you money for people to stay in the hospital if they're not what we label acutely ill. So Seaview as a long-term facility, but skilled, it's important to know that. Not just that you keep people in a home, but you have skilled staff that are there that can meet the needs. So it's sort of a bridge between someone who lives in a home that has loved ones that love him, but people who also know how to take care of their healthcare needs. And so it has to be certified. And if you don't have the proper certification, you can't continue. That was the demise of Seaview, but it is absolutely needed. And now let's go to the adolescent program that is going to close in December. Again, an extremely good, and let me just give you a little quick story because I know your time is limited. But that program, even though it didn't have all of the participants it should, Dr. Heath would beam about how these individuals, these kids that were in trouble, just were turned around. Their grades improved. They became better citizens. So again, we look at the financial, we look at the behavioral, we also look at what Sydney talked about, the amount of concern that you have for your family member that you can't take care of because you don't know. It's a no-brainer to know that Seaview and/or an adolescent program would be continued. And I think that the reason for its demise, again, is funding.
Time.
And I know that the governor is my time is up, or can I continue the sentence?
Yes,
I
you
know
may
that the governor-
proceed, Dr. Christian. You may proceed.
Okay. I know that the governor, and I know that there are many senators that have questions about why Seaview. But it's really, and in fact, let me just say this quickly. If we had Seaview, Dr. Heath would still be in this community. I am his power of attorney for medical decisions. And just before this happened, he's back into the hospital again. Wouldn't he prefer to be in the hospital around his colleagues like Dr. Comisión and Dr. Sterling and people who know him? But he's in an area where people don't know him. I mean, his daughter and so are there. But people, even within the healthcare industry, it's a no-brainer. We've got to support Seaview and get it done now, not tomorrow, now. Thanks for giving me the extra few minutes.
Thank you so much for putting that information on the record, and you are correct. We have to make sure that we do take care of as many of our Virgin Islanders, especially in a time of need when it's necessary. So I definitely will be voting in the affirmative for this piece of legislation. It is timely, and Dr. Heath did a great job in making sure that he influenced quite a bit of people, as we see here from being here in the chambers today. So thank you, Madam Chair, for the additional time.
And you're most welcome, Senator Frances Heiliger. Recognize your fellow minority member, Senator Alma Frances Heiliger, for her 4 minutes. Senator Heiliger, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon to my colleagues, to the people of the territory, to the testifiers. As I sat here and really listened to all the accolades that have been bestowed on this young lady, you know, the one message that keeps coming out is her ability to put God first. And even when you watch on television the moments that she take out to just praise God and be appreciative, you know, that's a beautiful thing to watch, because in our society, you know, sometimes we become so disconnected. And it's a beautiful thing to see that. And as she progresses, we as Virgin Islanders are here to cheer her on. I know one of my colleagues asked the question, what business or whatever you might want to do after. Everybody's into hair now, so that's an option. We literally were outside debating which hair color, if it was red or fuchsia or pink, because and the fact that you're even having those types of discussions, it shows that there's many other avenues outside of basketball that you could go down because you're making an impact in so many different areas. But the first thing I want to ask has to do about the camp that you have, about how many students participate in that, and what kind of feedback do you get? Because it's good when people give back and really see a way to nurture other young people coming up in this field.
Yeah, so I did my very first camp last year, and hopefully we can get another one in the upcoming months. It was very exciting for my very first camp, just because I remember my parents would send us away for camp, send us away to Massachusetts, different camps, so that we can be able to get the exposure. So for me, it was really important for me to be able to bring a camp back here so that the athletes didn't feel like they had to leave the island to be able to work out at the type of level that we continuously do in the States. It was, I think, 35?
Yeah, I think we strive for 50 or something.
But yeah, a little under 50 kids came to the camp. I mean, the feedback was great. Everyone really loved it, and so that's why I think we're just super excited to hopefully have one in the next upcoming months.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to hear positive things. Your mother spoke quite a bit about something that I was very happy she spoke about, is not comparing. Every child is unique. And the fact that they were able to see your talents and make decisions. A lot of parents might not have wanted their children away from them. But sometimes as parents, when we see opportunities that we say what might be best for our children, we make that sacrifice. And I want to applaud you too for recognizing with your children that this was something that could have potentially lead them down in a direction that definitely would expand and promote and grow their lives in a positive way. So I wanted to applaud you guys for making those sacrifices as well. Miss Levine, I know she was online. Is she still there? Hi.
Yes, I am.
How are you?
Hello.
Good.
I am wonderful, thank you.
Good. I wanted to ask you, when it comes to just noting some of the various accomplishments that Aaliyah has done, do you think that these accomplishments and things that she's done, how do you think it inspires other young women and young girls in this territory to maybe want to aspire to be in this field, or even just look at the dedication and say, even if it's not basketball, that type of dedication to accomplish and want to get to a certain level, how do you think that impacts, especially young women here in this territory?
I think it has a huge impact on all young girls. Basketball, yes, but also in life in general. I think the example that Aaliyah gives is kind of the equation we all talk about. Hard work will give you results. And I think if you can always look at what Aaliyah does in her hard work and her determination and commitment, and I will also add humility, because she was always one to give the credit to someone else. But by example, and being a leader in that way with such maturity, I think young people can look up to Aaliyah and say, I want to be that in volleyball, or I want to be that in soccer, or I want to be, a writer, but I know what it will take. And I think that is the best example that Aaliyah can give, not just in basketball, but for young people all over.
Thank you for that. Madam Chair, may I wrap up quickly?
You kindly may proceed to wrap up.
Thank you.
Senator Frances Heiliger.
Well, I just want to give my full support with this piece of legislation. I think that it's timely just to listen to those that have had an impact and influence on you and to see the outcome. I'm very appreciative, and hopefully other Virgin Islanders can see the pathway that you're headed down and say, you know what, I could do that too. So thank you so much, Madam Chair, for the additional time, and I will be voting in the affirmative.
Thank you so much, Senator Frances Heiliger.